Hi, I'm Marty Levinson. Welcome to the Northtown News Magazine.
Hi, I'm Marty Levinson. Welcome to the Northtown News Magazine.
Come on, baby, don't you wanna go? Come on, baby, don't you wanna go? Back to that lemon light city.
Hi, I'm Marty Levinson. Welcome to the Northtown News Magazine show with the greatest cameraman around, Sonny Hirsch, and your host, Avi Myers.
Thank you, Marty. Avi Myers, Northtown Neighborhood News Magazine, a presentation of Sonny Hirsch and myself. Web, ntnm.org, community policing, caps24.org. It is election season. It's also, for many of you, holiday season. So to cover all bases, a Merry Kwanzaa to everybody. But it is a pleasure to have election lawyer extraordinaire, James P. Nally. Jim, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Avi, and thanks for having me.
First of all, thank you. And, as we film, the period for petitions is over. The period for challenging is about to begin. And, what's going on?
Well, before we get to that, I have a little ceremony that we ought to take care of first off the bat here. Okay. Almost to the new year of 2014. And traditionally, I present my friends with date books so that they can start planning their new year and making all the good plans that they're going to carry out in the new year. So, Avi, I have the 2014 book that I'd like to present to you and wish you a wonderful new year and all the viewers as well.
And I would like you to know that I personally refer this to as the Book of Nally. And what I use this for is I use this for my TV show. And if you ever want to be a guest on the TV show, you have to be inscribed in the Book of Nally. That's just the way there is. But this is how I schedule all my shows, and it's a really terrific, handy tool. And this is going to be great. Terrific. Lots of room to write, and at least you're back to Irish colors. It was blue last year. He went Jewish for a year.
I got to mix it up. I'm partially colorblind. I'm not even sure what color it is. So.
No, this is a proper shade of green, so for a good Irishman, that's for sure. So there were 83 people that filed for judicial races.
Yes.
And I understand, there's one dropout just because somebody had to pick a race.
Yeah, there's... I thought the interesting thing is this cycle, it seems like the sub-circuits have drawn a lot of candidates, and the countywide's not as much. There are even 3 or 4 countywide candidates running unopposed.
There's actually 4 unopposed. David Ellis, who was Mike Madigan's attorney or something
right,
like that.
And he did. David also was the prosecutor on the Blagojevich impeachment in the legislature.
Yeah, then you have Virginia O'Brien Sheehan, Maritza Martinez, who already has appeared on the show.
Yes, and Maritza is running unopposed. I'm very happy. She's a client, and I'm looking forward to her now just getting measured for the robes and moving on.
And she did mention to me when I see you that she also wants a Book of Nally.
I'll make sure that gets taken care of.
Yeah, and there's a 4th also who's also a female candidate.
Yes, Kate Moreland is running unopposed as well. So, and then even in the other judicial races, there's only one county-wide that drew a large field of I think about a half dozen people. Bill Raines is the endorsed candidate, and there's a Neville vacancy, and I believe there's 5 or 6 people in that.
There are actually 5 women who filed against him. He's the only guy, and there's 5 women. But isn't one of them Joan Gallagher, who's also in the...
Yeah, she did file in both the countywide vacancy and a sub-circuit. And the rule on that is by December 9th, which is the last day to file objections, you also have to withdraw from one or the other. So she'll be out of one of those races.
So that's by the 9th, so that's Saturday.
Be next Monday.
Oh, next Monday.
Yeah.
And is she a sitting judge now?
No.
I
So
was curious about that.
Yeah, she's a candidate, but she will have to pick either the sub-circuit race or the countywide race. You're not allowed to appear on the ballot twice.
And here's what Jack Lahane was hoping that you would have been here when I interviewed him earlier today. Now, she's got to make her choice before the lottery?
Yes. The last day to withdraw is the 9th, and they're holding the lottery on the 10th.
So it's not like you get to look at the lottery and see, okay, I'm number 1 here and I'm number 3 here, so I'll take the number 1.
Right. I mean, this is only the second election cycle where they changed it. Up to the last cycle, the rule was you could file in as many judicial vacancies as you wanted, but then by the last day, you had to withdraw from all but one. and it was crazy. There'd be this dance of death up in the offices of the State Board of Elections, and everyone, well, where are you going to stay, and where's that guy going, and where's she going, and people are checking their handhelds to see who's withdrawn from what race, and everybody, and it got to be kind of dangerous because you have to withdraw by 5 o'clock, and the rule at the State Board of Elections is at 5 o'clock they walk away from the counter. So if you didn't get your withdrawal in on time, if it's 4:59 and there's 3 people ahead of you, that's too bad. So it would be just a really crazy, tense, unbelievably strange goings on there for the last couple hours on the last day when everybody is trying to figure out what race to stay in, what race to get out of, who's going where. So I think the legislature wanted to kind of take the circus atmosphere out a little. So you're only allowed now to file in one countywide circuit race and one sub-circuit, and then you have to withdraw from one or the other by the last day.
It's actually one of 2 games of chicken. And it was interesting because they also changed the rules in terms of, it used to be that it's better, most people consider either the first ballot position or the last ballot position to be most advantageous. So anybody who's in line before 9 o'clock is eligible for first ballot position.
Correct.
But for last ballot position, it used to be that whoever files last. But once again, with the 5 o'clock closing, and you should explain to people that if you don't, as you explained to me, if you don't get your petitions in by 5 o'clock, you're not in the race, period.
Right.
So people would be standing there last minute to want to be last person, and somebody had to give in at some point, or somebody wasn't going to be on the ballot.
Right, and that was another crazy thing, and that law has now been changed. So there's a lottery for the last ballot position now, just like the first, and that lottery is for people who file between 4 and 5 o'clock on the last day. So now there's really no reason to wait to try to be the guy who files at 4:59, because basically as long as you file at 4:01, you'll be in the position for the last ballot lottery, station with everybody else.
Now, almost like with the NBA draft, I was actually sitting by the computer continually refreshing the judicial screen, except for about a 15-minute break where it was like afternoon prayer time. So that much I had to take off. But the State Board of Elections actually, it seems within a minute of something being filed that it's on the web. It's that quick.
They're real good. They're real good. They've really embraced the technology. They've got one of the best websites, I think, of any governmental agency. It's real easy to maneuver.
Well,
it's real
after
easy to
you
find.
showed me, I agree with you.
Yeah, there are a few little tricks you have to know to kind of get into it. But once you get in, you can find information really quick, and they're real good about posting it quickly, too. And another nice thing they do now is, you mentioned that people are looking now to file objections. So in preparation for that, what people have to do is they have to pull the petitions that another candidate filed and go through them and verify the signatures are good. And it used to be that you would have to order those. You could order them up here in Chicago, but the originals were filed in Springfield. So you could place an order here, and then they would have to photocopy them in Springfield, put them on a truck. The truck would drive up once a day. So depending when you got your order, and you might have to wait a couple days to get the petitions. Now what they do, as soon as they're filed, they scan them. And they're in electronic form, and now you can go to the State Board of Elections either in Chicago or Springfield and say, I want to look at candidate Smith's petitions. It's $5, and they will either email you the petitions, or if you prefer, they'll put it onto a CD-ROM and hand it to you.
Nice. Nice, very nice. That sounds great. I wanted to ask you about a different game of chicken, though, that because in my mind, a separate game of chicken was created with the new rules. And I was particularly watching the 9th Sub-Circuit, and there were 2 particular candidates who, now some candidates get signatures, there were 3 races in the 9th Sub-Circuit, some candidates get signatures for all 3 races, try to look to see who's filing what and where.
Right.
And then going ahead and, making their decision appropriately. But if there's 2 people sitting there with 3 different sets of petitions, and if I'm not one of them was Megan Goldish this time, and one of them I think was, I want to say it was Tom Cushing, that also, and I wanted to see who filed first, because they were both waiting and waiting. They had the petitions there. They probably wanted to wait till the 4 o'clock thing, but one of them filed. Would you have any idea who filed first that day? Because it all counted as 5 o'clock, so I didn't see.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure who actually filed, because as you said, if you file between 4 and 5 now, they just mark it as if it was filed at 5. So.
Right. They did wind up in different races, though.
Yeah, and that's something that did happen. You're right. It's created a new kind of a game. You know, it used to be that everybody wanted to file the first day, first hour, so they'd get the shot at being, the top ballot position. Now you have people, because they can't file multiple races and withdraw later, now you have people who are strategically saying, I'm not going to file the first day, I'm going to wait till the last day, I'm going to see how the field develops in different races, and then if I've circulated petitions for multiple vacancies, then I kind of get the lay of the land and figure out, okay, on the last day, here's who's in this race, here's who's in this one, and make my decision based on who I know is already in. So it's kind of, this cycle we saw more than the normal number of people filing the last day, and that was so, as you pointed out, so they could kind of scope it out and see where other people had decided to land.
Yeah, virtually nobody filed in between the first and the last.
Right, part of that was a function, the state board was closed for 2 days for Thanksgiving and the day after Thanksgiving. So
Yeah, but there's no percentage in it either. I
No.
mean,
no, basically, it's at a point now where you either file first day, first hour, or last day, last hour, strategically, depending on what your goal is.
yeah, so overall, how would you grade the performance this year of the new rules?
I think they're good. I think everybody's kind of come to grips with them, but it has, as you point out, it's caused different strategies to develop now. The old strategies don't work anymore, but there's always a strategy. Everybody's always looking for an angle on how they can improve their ballot position, or get in a better field for a particular race. So it's going to be interesting, though, because there are really no conflicts in the Democratic Party in the primary for all the statewide offices but one. There is somebody who did file for governor against Quinn and Vallis, but they may or may not end up on the ballot. I know they're looking at their petitions as we speak. That was Teal Hardiman who filed against Quinn. So if he was to be knocked off, there'd literally be no contested races statewide.
Wow.
in the Democratic primary. And countywide, there are no contested races except for sheriff. There are 4 people running for sheriff. But all the other races, county board president, assessor, treasurer, all those Democratic candidates are running unopposed.
Yeah, it was interesting. A lot of people are taking shots at dart, or shooting darts at dart.
Yeah, there's 3 people who filed in his race. I don't know why he would draw opponents when the other people didn't, but
Well, Sylvester Baker makes a habit of always running against them, no matter, or running for sheriff, no matter
yeah,
what.
Sylvester Baker's run numerous times for sheriff. But I think what that's going to mean, though, is you're going to see a pretty low turnout in the Democratic primary, because there's not a lot to get people all, excited about.
Now, there's no question about it. I mean, what happened 2 years ago was pointed out to me. I didn't realize this, that one of the reasons some of the Jewish judicial candidates lost was because, for instance, in West Rogers Park, a third of the Jewish community took out Republican primary ballots, and in Niles, slightly over 50% of the Jewish community took out Republican ballots. This time you've got a 4-way race for governor that's going in the Republican side that's very sexy, and you've got an interesting range of people there, and I think that's going to, beyond question, get a lot of people not to vote in the Democratic primary.
Well, because people, all they're going to see in terms of ads are ads for Republican gubernatorial candidates. Those are the only people who will be in the media.
Now, I would think that also maybe is one of the reasons there were one of the things Jack Leahy brought up when I interviewed him, which I think is a valid point, is because the turnout's going to be so low, that could be why certain people did not want to go up against slated candidates.
Yeah, I mean, traditionally, the Democratic Party can turn out a certain number of voters who are loyal party voters and vote for the endorsed candidates. So obviously, if there's a smaller turnout, that number becomes a larger percentage of the overall vote.
Yeah, I'm going to let you have choice of topic now.
Well, I just think, again, the other thing for voters, I think that'll be interesting, we are fully into the no-fault absentee balloting now, where you don't have to give a reason. You can just send in a request and get an absentee ballot in the mail. So voting is easy. I know I just talked about how low turnout is, but mechanically it can be easier to cast a vote in Illinois.
Yeah, no, I always do like going to the polling place. I'd miss the action if I didn't.
There's still a social aspect of seeing your neighbors and catching up on the neighborhood news that it's nice to go in and see people.
Well, actually, yeah, Dan Miller, who used to be the business editor of the Sun-Times, who lives not far from me, is always one of the election judges, and I always like chewing the fat with him and getting some insight from him. while trying not to break any polling laws within the polling place.
Yeah, so I think though absentee and early voting are going to become, they have become statistically more and more a percentage of the overall vote. And I wouldn't be surprised if, say, in the Democratic primary with a low turnout, it could be close to half the vote is cast before Election Day.
Wow. Wow, that really, that's significant, very
Right.
significant.
Well, again, it's a strategy for clients, because if you know you want to get your base of voters out and make sure that you get those votes, you're going to encourage people, hey, here's an absentee application, fill it out, send it in, you'll get the ballot at home and you can mail it right back, and you don't have to worry about bad weather on Election Day or car trouble or getting stuck at work or anything like that. And then of course we still have the early voting sites too, where if you want to vote in person, you're able to go in all 50 wards and all the various townships in Cook County and cast ballots not only during the week, but on weekends. So again, if it, a Tuesday in the middle of the week, which when we hold our Election Day, isn't often convenient for people. And now with early voting, you can do that 7 days a week.
No, it really is super convenient, much more so than it ever has been. Now, the early voting period was shortened to 2 weeks this time.
Yeah, it's going to be, it's around 3 weeks, but you're going to be able to do the absentee balloting for a full month ahead of the election.
Wow.
So as much as I talk about turnout being low, conversely, there's no reason it should be low, because it's real easy for people to vote, other than the fact that I don't think the voter interest is going to develop.
No, and that's always a big problem. And particularly with the judicial elections, there's always a huge drop-off of people who don't want to, who are too lazy, even though someday they might appear before that judge.
You have a better chance of encountering a judge than any other person you elect, and it always amazes me that people don't take more interest. The only thing I can say is with the lack of activity in the upper races in the Democratic Party, maybe the media will take more time to look at the judge candidates this time, and because there's really nothing else to look at, but maybe also give people more information about that.
Yeah, Mark Supelsa right now is actually doing something on Channel 9. He's got a series running now about judges that I
But
haven't seen.
I hope that
any.
carries over, that the media in general encourages people to look at the judges more and talk about their qualifications.
Yeah, there's so few reporters write about it. I mean, we lost Abden Pialic to the dark side. He's working for Pat Quinn now, but
Right,
he was one of the few people that really was great at covering judicial races.
Yeah, Abden started out at the Chicago Daily Law Bulletin, so he's always had an interest. He has a lot of lawyers in his family. So he always was one of the reporters who really made it a point to focus on judicial stuff. But maybe with the lack of other stories now, maybe the media will start doing that. It would be a good thing, because a lot of times, as you know, Avi, people win judicial elections just because they have a certain name or a ballot position or something that has nothing to do with whether they're qualified or not.
Nothing to do with whether they're qualified, and the fact of the matter is they might not even be that nationality or ethnic
Right.
person. We had a Filipino O'Brien. We had a black Cone. I mean,
Well, it's ballot lottery in a lot of these races, and that's sad, because as I said earlier, your chances as a citizen of encountering a judge are 10 times greater than ever encountering a governor or a senator or anyone like that.
and people have very short memories if they get screwed in the court system. Why they shouldn't have voted for that person or voted for a more qualified person, or maybe they got lucky.
Well, here's the chance.
Yeah. But no, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We got about a minute left.
Well, I just want to take some time again to thank you and Sonny. We're coming to an end of another year, and you really provide a service. You bring, again, you're focusing on things that the larger media doesn't really cover. And it's the local stuff, though, and the people in the community that are most important in the day-to-day lives of most of the viewers that you have. And I again want to tip my hat to you, because it's just amazing how many people follow your program. Every time I'm on, I bump into people all over town who say, "Oh, I saw you on the Avi program," and talk about whatever we were talking about. So you've got a good following, because I think people do want to hear about this stuff.
No, I appreciate that. At least they're not calling me the rabbi anymore, or referring to as the Bernie Stone Show. I'd also like to remind people that we're going to do a live election special from the Can TV studios, hopefully this Sunday, about 9 days before the election. And that'll be my co-host Jim Nally and myself, and that'll be a Sonny Hirsch production. In any event, Mickey's hands say goodbye right now. So James P. Nally, election lawyer extraordinaire, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, Avi.
Be well.